Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to another video, and today we have a pretty special one. I am going to give you guys my first impressions on the new Supercross the Game 6, which comes out March 9th, I think. Big shout out to Milestone for giving me the opportunity to play the game early and give me an early access key to make some videos on. I was able to play the game for the first time about 2 days ago, so I wanted to make a first impressions kind of video before I go on and make some other stuff on it, more specific videos. Just wanted to give you kind of the first things that come to my head on the game, as I only have a couple hours on it so far. So yeah, let's begin. The first thing that came to my mind when I hopped on the game, and obviously there's not much to do right now besides career and time attack, since there's only like 5 people that have the game, so I just played time attack, tried out the bikes, tried out the tracks, and also played online with another person who had it. The turning is very different. It's probably not much to look at because obviously typically with these Milestone games they always look pretty similar when you watch them on YouTube, especially 4 or 5. Like it didn't look that different visually, but I promise you when you play the game, the cornering is much more stiff. It's like very understeery. It's almost as if you have to turn more with the throttle, if that makes sense. I'm still trying to see how I feel about it. I do like the fact that it makes you have to slow down and think about your corners more, but also in some spots it feels like it's a little bit much, like it's a little too understeery. It's not, I get what they're going for, but it's not as realistic as they think. But overall, it's starting to grow on me, especially with the way the tracks are made. If you nail a corner, it's actually quite satisfying. Now the game, aside from the turning, the actual physics of the game are very similar to 5. The air physics pretty much the same, which is honestly, in my opinion, I know people always say free the whip and all this stuff, but to me the air physics in these games are pretty solid. Like they really don't need to reinvent the wheel with the air physics in this game. Obviously everyone wants to free the whip, but from my point of view and the way I play these games, I don't really whip anyways. Like I just race and ride and stuff like that. So the air physics to me are fine, very similar. Rhythm sections, charting rhythms, the way the bike feels in rhythm sections, it feels to me much more like planted. This game, I don't know how to explain it. I'm kind of just saying my thoughts right now. I really don't have a plan or script for this video. I'm kind of just saying what comes to my mind right now. But the way the bike feels in rhythm sections, it just feels more stable. The game has a very stable feel to it. I don't know how to explain it, but in Supercross 5 the game just wasn't as stable. It wasn't as predictable in terms of physics, and I feel like having a more linear bike feel, something just more stable, you know what the bike's gonna do, it just feels much nicer, especially in your hands with the controller. Once you're playing, doing laps, and you hit a section, it just feels a lot more polished. I guess that's the right word to say, polished. The way the bike feels is just stable. I got a chance to look at the customization. A lot of the gear from last game, obviously. I'll probably make a video showing some of the new stuff, but there's a couple new gear sets. FXR is back. We got the new Bell helmets and a couple other things, which that's cool. One thing in terms of the bikes that I didn't like, for some reason, I hope this is just in the early access version of the game, but for some reason, the fastest bike I found when I was playing was the KTM 250 2-stroke. Now, I know we all love 2-strokes, but I don't know how I feel about a 250 2-stroke being the best bike in the game. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. I hope if they're listening or if they change it, I just hope that's not the case, because I don't know, I'd just rather ride a 4-stroke, especially we all know the bike sounds are not the greatest with the 2-stroke. They're not bad with the 4-strokes though, so I'd rather ride that. They have the new KTM, looks beautiful in the game. The rider models look beautiful as always. Tomac, especially Tomac's rider, especially with the red plate, just looks great in the game. Now the tracks. I got a chance to do all the tracks. I did some more than others. Especially I did a lot of Anaheim 1, just trying to get my thoughts on the physics, but I feel like the tracks this year, some have really cool spacing, really peaky jumps, really cool. To be honest, none of the tracks are horrible, but it's just some of the tracks, the way the jumps are made, they're made a little bit too low. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like they're not one to one. Like the jumps are just not. It's like the bike is the same size as some of the jumps. It looks like almost whoops, but they don't behave that way. Now, this isn't the biggest deal, but visually, if you're watching someone play the game, you'll notice that, wow, this track looks small on some of the tracks. Well, and there's other tracks, kind of like Anaheim 1, or really any of the Anaheims, where the jumps look kind of scaled how they should be. But that's kind of a minor thing. That's just a visual thing. I feel like the way the rhythms flow is still very similar to a track with peaky jumps. It's just less airtime, but the lines would still be the same. It's not like we'd be skimming these sections like we used to in SX3. I'll talk some more about the competitive, cheesy techniques in a sec. Now, you'll notice from the gameplay that a lot of these tracks have inside berms now. When I got to play the game at FanFest at Anaheim 1, I was not a big fan. I was like, wow, that's going to be very, I don't know, I just didn't like it. But now, after playing it, I have to say it's really fun hitting the inside berms. The way the bike behaves in those corners feels great, especially if you're someone that likes to have throttle control be a factor in a game. Being able to set up your braking, enter the corner, lean, get on the gas smoothly, like that's all affecting how you're going to exit the corner more than ever now. And I feel like that's something I could get behind. Now, in terms of racing, like online, I don't really play career mode, so I don't know how that works, but I do a lot of online racing, and if we're all going for inside berms, I don't know how that's going to work out just yet. But there's a lot of tracks where the outside is still usable, especially if there's like a whoop section or something out of the corner. It helps the outside for the extra drive, obviously. Now, on custom tracks, something I noticed was there's 4 different terrain types now on custom tracks, which I think is great. We have 4 different terrains to play with, and I'm pretty sure each terrain behaves differently. I haven't had as much testing with that yet, but it's awesome that we have 4 different terrain types. It's kind of like the one we've always been used to, and then a clay type, a more sandy texture, and then kind of like the Atlanta dirt, like an orange type, which is cool. It's cool to have different terrains for custom tracks, not just the same stuff we're used to. And yeah, those are kind of the main impressions I've had on the game so far. Now, for all the competitive players that like to do tournaments and leagues and stuff like that, my thoughts on some of those type of techniques you would do if you're one of those types of players. First of all, if you ever do the corner scrub or whatever you like to call it, the quarry technique, where you turn and scrub the corner by pulling your sticks in or out, kind of like doing a whip on the ground, that is completely gone from stock tracks. You cannot do that at all. Not even a chance. You cannot do it at all. But on online tracks, you could still do it, which is kind of weird. I never thought that'd be something that's possible, but that is how it is. I don't know how I feel about it yet. I mean, a lot of the guys that don't like that technique are going to be happy, and then a lot of people that do like it are going to be mad. That's just kind of how it is. I'm kind of in between because I wasn't that fond of it in SX5 like I was in SX4. So, I don't know. That's something I'm going to need to take more time to have my opinion on, but I'm just letting you guys know that that is not in the game at all. Now, the wheeling and stuff like that is still in the game, but it's much less overpowered in my opinion. It's nowhere near as like lethal as it used to be in the rhythm section, just wheeling like mad skills. It's just not nowhere near. Scrubbing, like scrub cancel, it's a little technique where we'd cancel out the whip animation. That is still in the game, and that is still probably a really useful technique, which I enjoy because I feel like it's really not that unrealistic. It's literally just leaning the bike over, kind of like how you would do in real life. So I'm glad that's still in the game to have some sort of separator. But yeah, it seems like this game's going to be a lot, especially on stock tracks, a lot more about setting up your corners, braking, throttle control, and just being smooth. Online tracks, you can still do the technique, the corner scrub, but I haven't had much testing with online tracks yet, so I really can't give you my full opinion on how that will flow on a custom track. Yeah, that's pretty much my first impressions. I kind of just did this one take, just listing the thoughts in my brain with the little list I have on my phone. I hope you guys like it. Overall, so far, I do enjoy the game. I think it's a slight step up from 5 in some spots, and then some spots it's kind of a downgrade, you know how these things usually go. But overall, the way the physics feel, definitely a step up. It's just some of the minor things aside from the physics, like the track, the way the tracks look on some of them and stuff like that are not as good to me. But this is my first impressions. My opinions can change with more playtime. But yeah, guys, hope you guys are excited for the new game. Certainly, I've been enjoying it so far overall. I'm excited to keep on playing it and give you guys some more thoughts as I keep on going and get some more time on the game. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching.